Podcast guests are real people just like you and me. I used to think otherwise when I just listened to podcasts, but after interviewing and producing hundreds of shows, I now know better. On the Fallible Man podcast, they're men and women that are on a similar journey to you who have figured out something worth sharing and found a platform to share it on to help make people's lives better. I invite you to come meet the guests behind the show on these Get to Know You clips. Oliver, today, in your own words, right now in this moment, who is Oliver Marcelle?
Man, Oliver Marcelle is growing right in this moment. You said in this moment. In this moment, Oliver Marcelle is a guy who is in a season of his life where he's recognizing that showing up the same way everywhere is vitally important to who I am. And so if I were to unpack that a little bit, I'm growing in my faith. I'm growing in my consistency as it relates to me wanting to be a man of integrity, wanting to uh, treat my wife a certain way, to create a certain atmosphere around my day-to-day life. And that's who I am at this moment. I can talk about the being the author and being the speaker and being the coach and that kind of thing. But if I put all those things on the shelf for a second, in this moment, I'm that guy who is in a season of growth that is allowing me to develop the level of consistency that I think is necessary to be the type of man, husband that I should be.
Are you ready for the speed round?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Are you a sports guy?
I'm a sports guy.
What sport?
Basketball mainly, but I'm kind of getting into football a lot more lately. So
What sport would be better with mandatory shots for the players before the game?
what kind of mandatory shots?
Shots.
Oh, wow. Hockey.
Oh, that could be dangerous. Is cereal soup?
Say it again.
Is cereal soup?
Is cereal soup? No.
Favorite adult beverage?
Favorite adult beverage for me is, believe it or not, is cranberry juice.
Okay.
And I know that's not an adult beverage, but that's my favorite beverage.
There's no wrong answer in this part. It's you, right? Go-to weapon for the zombie apocalypse?
Machete. I don't know how long I would last, but sounds cool.
Best dad joke you got?
Best dad joke. Oh man, let me see. I'm going to repeat something I actually just read a day or two ago, and it was saying I'm trying to convince everybody about the importance of eating dried grapes. I'm just talking about raising an awareness. Get it?
Uh-huh, I did. I'm not sure if that's good or bad on my part.
I loved it. I'm just talking about raising awareness. That's it.
Worst song ever?
I don't know. Dump me on that one. Worst song ever. Yeah, I don't know. I listen to so much music. What's the worst song ever? That's a great question. Now you're gonna have me going through my playlist later.
You're gonna hit it tonight, like in the middle of the night. You're gonna be set up and be like, "Ah."
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's it. This is terrible.
What purchase of $100 or less have you made in the last year that's had the biggest impact in your life?
Dollars less. I bought a couple books, and full transparency, I haven't finished them all, but I do believe that some of those books, one was by Myron Golden, The other one was I can't think of the title, but the the art of something about surrender. And then there's another one that so far, and again, I haven't finished all three of them, but so far those are really helping the growth that I just talked about earlier.
Okay. If you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Chinese food.
Hmm.
It Yeah. So if we got to make it specific, um, pineapple fried rice and General Tso's chicken.
Okay.
I can every day for the rest of my life.
Really?
Yep.
That sounds so sweet to me.
It is kind of sweet. I would definitely pay for it. Rice is I can't do too much. I shouldn't do too much rice, but yeah, that would probably be the go-to.
Pineapple fried rice. Yeah. I just pineapple's too sweet. I just don't like it for me. I don't. Best playground insult.
Best playground insult. Hmm. I don't know. That's another one. You got me on that one.
This is like that question of tell me how old you are without telling me how old you are.
Exactly. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, I gotta go a long way back.
See, I'm from the your mama generation.
Yeah, yeah, that
That was like the ultimate comeback for everything.
that'll start some stuff. That'll start without a doubt.
If I was to sit down with the family, what funny story would Denise telling you?
Um, man, there's probably so many. Um, let me think. What would she tell you? What's the first thing she would probably tell you? I've done some crazy stuff in life, so excuse me. She'd probably tell you about the time that, and this is a story I told them as a kid. Um, I was a dirt bike guy, I like the BMX bike, and so and we jumped ramps. So in this back alley where I lived, we'd always set up these ramps and jump them. I have this bright idea. I'm working on this bike, and so the bike doesn't have a seat on it, but it still has a seat pole. So you already know where this is going. You already know because I said ramps and I said bike with no seat. So you already know where this is going.
I'm getting uncomfortable just thinking about it.
So I jumped the ramp a couple times successfully, no problem, right? But the ramps are getting kind of bigger and bigger, right? So at this one particular time, I jumped the ramp and I clear everything successfully. But when I come down, foot slips off the pedal. So the the natural reactive thing to do is just sit down to steady yourself. But there's no seat. We don't
Ow.
have to go into what happened.
Yeah,
Just
let's not.
just so I will say this though. God spared me because it could have been way worse.
Oh, yeah,
And
I'm
we'll
gonna have
just let the
nightmares about
folks'
that tonight.
imagination go into what way worse could be. So the way worse did not happen. I did get cut up pretty bad, but the way worse didn't happen. So thank God.
Yeah, I'm gonna have nightmares about that tonight. Wow. You know,
Yeah.
every boy is scared of that because all of us have been silly enough to ride a bike like that at least once. Like I
Mhm.
rode miles on a bike without a seat once, but I wasn't like jumping off of stuff. Although I think
Yeah.
this generation would do better jumping off stuff more with their bikes like we used to when we were kids. Just whole nother argument.
Yeah.
Oliver, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Um that uh that I man, one thing that I am authentically a good guy. Like I want people to be like, man, he was really a good guy. And I know that's very vague, but I just, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier in terms of showing up the same way everywhere. Like, I just want people to be like, man, this guy, like, he was really, like, he wasn't, what you saw was what you got. He was passionate about stuff, liked people, he wanted to make an impact. He was just all around a good guy.
I don't think that's bad or silly or anything. That makes perfect sense to me. If you
Yeah.
could have coffee with anyone who's ever lived other than Jesus, I've got to put that disclaimer in there anymore because
Okay.
I feel like every Christian I bring onto the show, like that's the default. They feel like they have to say Jesus.
Mhm.
And so like 9 out of 10 answers, that's what I get. So if you could have coffee with anyone who's ever lived other than Jesus, who would it be?
Um, wow, that list is so long, bro. Let me try to grab one. Anyone who's ever lived. I I think I'd love to sit down and talk to somebody like Martin Luther King. Somebody who was just really engrossed in that civil rights era and just kind of, I'd love to just hear from their perspective, like how they navigated life, you know. I think that would be a very insightful conversation.
Oh, like there's so much you could learn just talking to someone who pushed back against the system
Yeah,
in a time when that could end so badly so easily.
exactly.
Uh,
Right. Yeah.
you
I
got to
think
have
that
you got to have a lot of respect for people who go against the grain, knowing the possible cost, and they go anyway.
right. And honestly, that would be a big part of the conversation because it takes some level of courage and it takes some level of just, man, I some level of faith. It takes so many different components to really kind of step out and be in a space where you know you're going a different direction than everybody else is going. But you know that that direction you're going in is going to be impactful at some point and may cost at some point. Like that's wild to me. And I don't know that I often have that level of confidence or that level of that lack of fear that it takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to have a conversation with somebody from that era. So I think that would be a good one.
That's more than fair.
Yeah.
Oliver, tell us what it is you do normally.
What it is I do. So my day to day looks like coaching clients. So we work with married couples primarily. Every once in a while, I get the opportunity to maybe do a small corporate team as it relates to relationship building. Hopefully, that will grow as time goes on. But we work primarily with married couples. I also work with men. So we're coaching in a number of different areas under the relationship building umbrella. I also speak for conferences and retreats and um, marriage seminars and things of that nature. And so that kind of is the bulk of what I do. There's some things I do on the side as it relates to social media content creation and things of that nature, but the biggest part of my plate uh, centers around coaching and speaking.
Oliver, what's something everyone needs to know about you before we dig into the show today?
I'm a straight shooter, and I find myself sometimes prefacing what I say with that because often what is passion to me sometimes comes across doesn't come across that way to everybody. Um, Real quick, I just had an interesting situation. I was co-facilitating a men's group a couple weeks ago, and in this particular session, the men could bring their wives to this session. So there were ladies in the group, and we're talking about a real topic around relationship building. And I said something, and it wasn't something reckless or mean or anything like that, but just the way with the passion that it came out. There was a lady in the group that really took it the wrong way, and it unfortunately kind of shifted the tone of the rest of the session. So listen, I mean well. I want to see relationships thrive, and sometimes the passion of that can be misconstrued. So that's something you need to know about me.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, today we're diving into building strong marriages. Oliver and Denise's shows and their counsel are where I go to get insights to nurture my marriage. I've learned so much from them over the years. And I promise this conversation is going to bless your marriage. We're going to roll out.